Welcome to the discussion today. And today we are going to be discussing a very important aspect, which is cultivating tomorrow's success with leveraging our skills and at the same time also leveraging our talents and passion to be able to turn challenges into opportunities. And this conversation is quite very, very instrumental for the youth. And I am joined here today with my co-host Daniel Afumbom Munang. Daniel, how are you doing?
Well, I'm great. Happy to be here. It's been a while, but glad to be back and talk about the growth garden, which we'll further discuss throughout this session.
Absolutely, yes. The reality is that growth is like a garden. And so, if one was to imagine growth like a garden, each skill, each experience that each and every one of us do have, and each piece of knowledge is like a seed. And therefore, with time, with care, and with patience, these seeds blossom into a beautiful garden, a thriving garden for that matter. And that is the essence of what we call here gradual growth. And so, the journey, as they always say, of 1,000 miles starts with a step or begins with a step. As Lao Tzu once said, means that the discussion today is the allure of quick success versus the climbing up to the top, fulfilling journey of nurturing one's personal growth. So, without much ado, what do you think needs to be done, and what can you explain as gradual growth uh, when it comes to nurturing these seeds of potential within an individual to allow the individual to grow and grow at their own pace, especially the young people level?
Well, I think that today in the media, especially in the media, actually, there's a there's a culture that has been created about the rise to the top and kind of the race to the top, kind of, and a lot of people feel like threatened by that, so everybody's trying to get to the top as quick as they can, not realizing that it's not how quick you get there, it's how far you go. And the journey to the top, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon, meaning that you may get to the top when you're 20, 21, or without maybe even a degree, just finishing high school, but that doesn't mean that you're going to stay at the top, because there's still other skills that you have to build. And if you just fly through them, then you're not going to have a thorough understanding and truly know what it means.
I think that's a very important point that you are bringing up, Afu. And I think to our viewers who are watching, welcome again to this very important discussion today, which is actually about value of gradual growth. And I think what you are trying to say is how to climb without necessarily losing what we need to do, which is just like a well tended garden. Gradual growth leads to a rich, multifaceted development of skills and wisdom, and so making you more resilient and adaptable in life. And I think one of the aspects that is quite very, very instrumental in this is that when you want to rise to the top without having the foundation in terms of skills, in terms of experience, in terms of the ability to be able to be resilient, then it becomes quite very, very difficult, because as we are discussing this aspect of how nurturing each aspect of our lives, much like a garden, can lead to a healthier, more balanced growth. And I think in the world today, with young people who are finishing school and wanting to get a job, excellent, but also wanting to rise to the top, the question then becomes, what do you think each and every young person, wherever they are today, could actually be able to do to build that gravitas and that resilience? And can you share a practical example of what you yourself have done, if I may call it, watering your own talents and dreams to be able to fit into something that could come?
Yeah, exactly. And I think that you've raised up a good point, because with the youth of today, some skills that they can learn, because obviously the goal is to get to the top, and nobody's saying that that shouldn't happen. We're instead encouraging that. But what we're trying to discourage is the ways that some people are getting to the top, which include just, for example, exploiting people, or just climbing on other people's backs in order to get to the top. And using that analogy, some people's backs will start to have problems. And once they start to have problems, then you're back to the bottom again. So I think that some skills that some young people can develop include resilience, determination, and also being an innovative thinker, because without having that quality, you'll just be thinking the way that things have always been done. However, if you think in a way that is innovative, then you'll be able to provide new ideas which can push you up, because you'll be providing value. And I'll give the example, for example, of a soccer player. If you don't go to practice and you just rely on your natural talent, are you going to be as successful as somebody who's less talented but works double, twice as hard? Potentially. But the person who works twice as hard has developed those soft skills that can potentially push them up to the top rather than just the natural talent, which obviously is important and is obviously necessary, but you need those other skills to help build resilience and help you stay at the top, such as financial management, resilience, being a team player, stuff like that. So that's a practical example. But within people my age's life, like for example, extracurriculars are quite important. And even if you're a top student and you don't have extracurriculars, it's going to be a little bit difficult for post-secondary in some parts of the world, such as like Canada, the US, and UK. Like in the Western world, you need just more than grades. So, for example, you could, for example, get a part-time job and engage in passions, do sports, go to the gym, just other stuff that make you a well-rounded student, whether that's playing the piano, working at McDonald's, playing volleyball, just stuff all around that can make you well-rounded with developed skill. For example, work, you get time management. Playing the piano, you learn diligence and precision. Playing volleyball, you learn sportsmanship and to be a leader. So those skills allow you to open the doors of tomorrow rather than just relying on the natural stuff which everybody can develop.
That's a very good point that you brought up. And I think it encapsulates the concept of gradual structured growth as a process akin to nurturing everyone's ability to withstand not just stress, but to be able to also be knowledgeable and have the substance to be able to offer. And I think this takes us now to a very interesting aspect today, which is, and I really want us to get to this, and I know we've touched it, but not within this context of gradual growth, is that the attitude and the appetite to grow to the top sometimes doesn't matches the appetite to put in the effort, the energy. Like you rightly said, you can't be an excellent soccer player or a basketball player or an excellent track runner without also putting in the time, the effort, the grit, as they say, to be able to have the right skills and also the talent and the excellence that is needed to be able to become number one. Why do you think there is this mismatch? Because somebody will say, I would like to be like you. That is fine. It's good to always have people you can benchmark to be like them, to look up to them. But the effort most of the time of the people do not meet what is needed to reach where they want to be. What is causing this mismatch, and how do you think this can be closed, especially to young people out there, right? We tell them there are environmental challenges, there is pollution everywhere, plastic littered, waste, agricultural waste. We said, okay, please, can you be able to spend your time online learning how to turn this waste into fuel briquettes, into biogas, right, into biofertilizer? But immediately that comes up, the appetite depreciates, but you need that experience to show that you've done something to move forward. What is causing this disconnect?
I think that the disconnect is largely brought up by the media because most people just
Really?
showcase.
The media?
Well, yeah, because for example, the whole point of social media is to show your good times, right? To show the moment that you want to share with individual keyword, the moment that you want to share. So, like for example, like let's say like even LinkedIn, for example, which is supposed to be a professional space, can low-key be toxic because you see everyone posting this promotion. Oh, I got an internship at XYZ. Oh, I got promoted to XYZ. But a lot of people tend to forget the track that they took in order to achieve these merits, and that leads some people who aren't digitally conscious, I can say, to feel bad about themselves and then just expect things to happen, but constantly forget that there are steps in order to achieve what they'd like to achieve.
That's a very good point. For those of you who are watching, please welcome to this very important discussion. Today, we're discussing the root garden, looking at how do we cultivate tomorrow's success, leveraging our skills, our talents, and actually putting in the effort that is needed to be able to take us to where we want to go. If you are joining in, this is the Mindset Spot, where myself, Richard Munang, and Afumbom Daniel Munang discuss aspects that can be able to inspire young people to not only pursue their dreams, but at the same time know what they need to do. And so, back to this point, which I think is very important that you've said that social media has actually contributed to this attitude of somehow seeing just the good, which is important, but the process to how the good was gotten seems to be missing most of the time. And therefore, it's always as if it's a miracle, but whereas true success also have a true story, that to every success there is a story behind. It's a story of hardship. It's a story of nights of stomach aching of hunger. It's a story of sleepless nights. It's a story of trekking to school without shoes. And it's a story of coming back late and burning the midnight candle before you score that A. And because of that, what you are saying is it is very, very important to show the good, the bad, and the ugly so that people can understand what it takes to reach from to start from A to B to C to D and right up to Z. Is that so?
Yeah, but also I think that it's just important to be digitally conscious because realistically, not many people are going to show that side. They're not going to show totally the good, the bad, and the ugly. However, it's up to you to thoroughly think and to be literate on social media, like how social media literacy, to understand that even though they're not going to show the process, which is understandable because people like showing the good sides of their life. You need to understand that there was a process. And I think that's more important in a sense than people being totally transparent because nobody's going to be 100% transparent, especially with the likes of things like digital footprint. So, what you have to do, you as the consumers of social media, you have to look at it and be like, oh, this person, for example, got accepted into a really good school. You need to understand that they worked hard, that they spent sleepless nights, that they spent their time working their butt off doing extracurricular, doing sports, so that they can get into this good school. And once you understand that without them even posting that, then you can tailor your goals to encompass those things so that you too can achieve the successes.
I think you are bringing up a very important point here. And I think I have argued so many times. And even yesterday, I did send out an advice to young people, which included not just young in terms of age, but even those young at heart. Because you're talking about the social media or what is called the digital footprint, which is very important. And some people shy away, oh, I don't want to be on social media because I don't want to say something that will come back to haunt me. And there are others who are there, um, maybe doing what is right, but sometimes following trends. And what I said was that, in simple terms, the message here is about being mindful of what you post on social media, because it's a reminder that whatever you share online, especially on platforms like Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, reflects who you are. And so it becomes very important that when you are seeking opportunities, you need to understand that when you are seeking those opportunities, people will look at your social media to understand your character and credibility. That doesn't mean that you run away from social media, that you follow what you can be able to say and do and express your values. So that the advice is to think before you post and don't feel pressured to comment on every trending topic. Instead, what you need to do is to focus on sharing things that truly represent your values and professional image. And always remember that your social media is like a mirror to the world, showing who you are and what you stand for. For what says you about this?
Yeah, I 100% agree with that point because when we look at it, for example, if I just search up somebody's name, I'm going to find their Instagram, their Twitter, their Snapchat, their Visco. I'm going to find so many things. And before I continue, we have comments from Abraham Yelly. He said, I have learned a lot via your social media platforms. Kudos. And we have a bunch of people watching live from Nigeria, Ghana, all around the world. And also, for those of you guys who would like the recording, after this is done, it'll be aired on YouTube, all the other stuff. So then from there, whatever platform you're watching it from, you can download the recording after we're done this podcast.
Absolutely. And then we also asked whether this is being recorded. Yes, it is being recorded as I was indicated. And please share your ideas, share your thoughts as you are watching. And please keep watching. And we still have about 25 minutes or so to run up. And back to the social media. And
Yeah, so
back to the
back to what I was saying. Like, for example, if I was to search up somebody's name, like, you would be able to find their social media platforms. And realistically, your job employers are going to be doing that. Your education providers are going to be doing that. and it's based on your social media platform, which is an outward reflection of your personality. Let's say I click on someone's Facebook and all I see them is arguing about political stuff that don't really matter. I'm going to I'm going to think differently of them than if their platform with them showcasing ideas, being like a little blogger on things that provide substance, keyword provide substance. And I think that many people have the same thoughts as me, because let's say you go to a party and you post things and you are underage and you post yourself with substances you're not supposed to be indulging at your age. People can do math. Let's say you're applying to university, people can do math from the time that photo was taken and the time you're applying, and they will realize that you did those things underage. And that's just one example. Even when you are the age of majority, you still need to be careful about what you post, even political stuff too. Because if your Facebook or your TikTok is just you arguing with random people you've never met about a political crisis that people don't really care about, then it's going to see, like, for example, to a recruiter. If I was a recruiter, I'm just going to think you're wasting your time, and instead of you drafting papers, if I hire you, you're going to be arguing with a random person about a crisis. So I think I digress. But I think, long story short, digital footprint is extremely important because it shows a character of you that you may or may not be. You could be the best person in the whole wide world, but if your social media reflects otherwise, then it's going to be more difficult for you to achieve your goals. As we live in a digital age, and anything could really be found out about you just through typing in your name. So
Yes, Afu, you're bringing up a very important point, and I think Mumbani, my very good friend in Douala, Cameroon, said, "Intelligent lady, welcome Mumbani, I welcome all of you. I can see Bain, Nuela, I can see Onotale, I can see Abraham, Awol, Richard, Bizawit. Welcome all of you. I think this is a very important point, and I think we need to deep dive into this in details. In that, a lot of people shy away from coming to social media for obvious reasons you've mentioned, that okay, I don't want to have a digital footprint. What message do you have to them? What are they missing out?
well, I think that although it's nice that you don't want to have a footprint, a digital footprint does not always correlate negatively. You can have a positive digital footprint. Like, for example, let's say you're posting about change, you're doing advocacy, and you're making an impact. That digital footprint can benefit you. So if and sometimes even if you are on social media and you don't want a digital footprint, you can have no digital footprint and be on all social media platforms by just posting normal stuff. So it depends. A social media digital footprint can impact you, can really not change anything. Let's just say you post, I don't know, pictures of your dog, pictures of the sunset. That's not really going to change anything. It's not going to impact you positively nor negatively. Like, you're just there. Or it could impact you negatively, which I already discussed in the past question. So yeah.
Yeah, but the point is this. I think you use the word, we are in a digital world. And just like mobile phones came, nearly everybody owns a mobile phone or uses a mobile phone or benefits in one way or the other through a mobile phone, even if you don't have. It therefore means that it's not a matter of whether choosing to be part of it or not, because then you'll be left behind, and no one should be left behind. Meaning that it is important for everyone to use social media responsibly. And I think using the word responsibly is with intentionality, which is know what to post, be responsible, project your image, your values, and do not get embroiled into what you've indicated, political biggering or biggering and insults. And I want to take this to the aspect which you mentioned, which is that one of the easiest way to connect, which when we were growing up, we never had this opportunity to be able to meet people that in our lifetime we could have never met, but today with a click of the mouse or with the touch of your phone, you can be able to connect with presidents and prime ministers and CEOs of companies. But yet it seems to be taken for granted. Instead of building professional relationships with those people, you will see others arguing and abusing them. Do you think a lot of young people are missing opportunities to build relationships and networks because your network is your net worth? Do you think they're missing that? If so, what advice do you give them so that at least they can start seizing these opportunities that seems to be draining away all the time.
Yeah, that's a good point, and I think that, of course, social media is an amazing way to develop your network, as you said, and social media is, because there's so many people on social media, like everybody's on social media, the chance of you finding a like-minded person in today's age are higher than ever, meaning that you can, even just following like-minded pages, even somebody following you back, that's still a way to connect with people. And through that you can be able to combine ideas, maybe even go on like a FaceTime chat to talk about your ideas on what you're doing. And you can connect with someone, let's say you're in Australia, you can connect with someone in Zimbabwe, you can connect with somebody in Switzerland, you can connect with someone in Mexico. All around the world there are people like-minded like you, and it's up to you to go and find these like-minded people. And it's been easier than it ever has been, because we're all on social media, so we're all able to find people who are just like us.
Yes, and to those who are on social media and using it to abuse others, what do you say?
Well, to be honest, it's not really about what I have to say. It's about what your job recruiter has to say, and I'll leave it at that.
You leave it at that. Now you're becoming politically correct. So that's a good one. We can see General Pele, welcome. He says happy weekend, and also says this is free knowledge and that we are teaching at the ideas is indeed free knowledge. And that takes me to the next point as we start to run up and I hand over to you, Afu, which is the fact that knowledge is everywhere today, but we still see a lot of people not having that level of knowledge. What is the disconnect?
I don't know, to be honest, but if I was to sum it down, I think it's mainly because some people are just ignorant. Like, some people just want to know what they want to know. And for some people, ignorant is bliss. Because if you don't know what's going on in the world, it doesn't really affect you, because you frankly don't know. And you're just living in your own little world. And that's okay until it isn't. And what I mean by that is, it's okay to have your reality, but at the same time, we can't be blinded to what people are suffering in the world. So if people are disconnected from social media, even though they're on it, it's our job to educate people. For example, the news is free, and social media is, most for the most part, is free. So even just going on like a news platform and reading news about current events can keep you posted, and from there, once you generate your opinion, then you can connect with like-minded people to create solutions. For example, the environmental crisis. Let's say you're really into, I don't know, shoemaking, then you can connect with like-minded shoemakers to create, for example, shoelaces out of like plastic that's refined and stuff like that. So through social media, through understanding the problems, you can connect with like-minded people to create solutions.
Yes, that as I hand over to you, the last part is we see this barrage of negativity that is resulting to causing mental health in many young people across the world. And most of the reason for this is the negativity in terms of communicating problems, not solutions, or showcasing success without also explaining the process on how that success came about. And this not only overwhelm the young people, but make some of them feel disenfranchised and somehow left out because they feel the train has already left them, which is mostly just optics. And as you're saying, is that in reality, everybody is able to catch up. And if they know the process in terms of the steps that have been taken, it becomes easier. What is your message as you take over the baton to run up this interview with questions?
Well, I think that I answered that at the first part of the interview, but we have new viewers, so let me re-answer it. I think that many young people think that they're left behind when in reality it's not true. And everybody has their own path to success. So just because you're going in a quote unquote unconventional pathway does not mean that you aren't enough. And that does not mean that, let's say you see someone, you see all your friends getting internships and you don't have one just yet. That does not mean that you're less smart, or you're less, or you're disenfranchised. That just means that, to be frank, that just means that you're on a different path, and that's okay. Meaning that social media is just a facade, I can say. And don't let other people's accomplishments wear you down. Obviously everybody is going to have their own accomplishment, but just because yours hasn't come yet doesn't mean that you should stop working.
What a wonderful way to put it together. And you are being appreciated here by Onotali. Over to you.
Yeah, so I think that we've had such a great interview so far, and some questions for you. So, how have you dealt with social media, and how have you chose to curate your digital footprint?
Very important point. And I think building back on where we started, right? You have to cultivate your tomorrow's success. And your tomorrow's success is about what you do today. And rightly so, every opportunity that you can be able to get new knowledge and engage with people is not just an opportunity, but it's an advantage for you to be able to tap into their repertoire of knowledge or of opportunities in what they know that you don't know. And so, leveraging social media, what I've tried to do with social media is actually to inspire our young people to know what they need to know, not just what they want to know, but what they need to know. And what they need to know is about the truth of how I grew up. And I've used my life story all the time on every stage to showcase that it is not where you come from, as you rightly said. The paths to achievements are not universally the same. Your failure today could actually be your stepping stone for tomorrow to success. And someone's success today can be a benchmark and a footprint for others to learn from. But if you don't share that knowledge, if you don't guide our brothers and sisters to learn that they need to take those steps to move forward, how will they know? And also to guide them through channels that everybody can get. The easiest today is Facebook, is TikTok, it's Instagram, it's Twitter. That with one click of a tweet, you can reach 50,000 people from all corners of Africa and the world. Has been high of leverages and leveraging that, portraying not just my professional image, but also the values that I stand for, values of inclusivity, values that portray my passion, my persistence and consistency, my purpose, that we must be able to see opportunities in challenges, not just complaining and blaming everybody, but providing solutions to the challenges we face is what, if you go to every handle of my social media, it's about solutions, it's about inspiration, it's about saying what needs to be said for people to understand, but always coming with a solution at the end of the day. And of course, challenging the attitude of the mindset that needs to be changed for us to be able to turn our challenges into opportunities. And that is how I've leveraged it. And to be honest, what I've seen is that there is a lot of good that could be done if we speak through the lens of solutions, not through the lens of complaining. If we speak through the lens of solutions, not through the lens of blame game. If we speak through the lens of solutions, not through the lens of thinking that we can pit one another together to cause problems because we think that they themselves having issues, we can be able to move forward. And therefore, leveraging social media as a solution space is the norm and not the exception that each and every one of us should leverage. Over.
Great point. And we have a comment from Sebastian Unotali, and also from
Abraham,
Abraham. He says that thanks for impacting knowledge and current issues that sometimes that included in the academic curriculum.
excellent. Everyone.
Everyone. Okay, this was the question.
Then,
Uh,
Sebastian said,
he says, "Do you think mental health has a role to play in someone's intelligence?" You can answer that one.
well, the reality is that what the question should be, what causes mental health in the first place? I think that is the starting point. And the answer is very simple. Like Afu said earlier, the media have portrayed problems so much so that people get disenfranchised and feel as if they are left behind. And that do not only result to stress, but it impacts people's mental ability to be able to comprehend and withstand the pressures and the stress of the moment. And why does that happen? Because the truth are not told. The truth that you have everything it takes to be able to get to where you want to go. But the difference is you must endure short-term pain for long-term gain. That there are no shortcuts to the top of the palm tree. That message is not being told. That you cannot be able to leapfrog to the top without climbing through the rungs of the ladder. That you must be able to put in the effort. You must retool your skills and start to see challenges as disguised opportunities. When these messages are missing and what is portrayed is only a BMW, it's only a RAF or the latest models of Mercedes-Benz, and we don't ask how that happened, but we say, oh, I wish I can get it tomorrow, then mental health start to become an issue. But to your question, and to be very practical in answering it, which I've given some practicality, the role that social media, because you say, do you think mental health has a role to play in someone's intelligence? Yes, in manipulation. Because if you are able to think that you don't have something and it stresses you, then you are being manipulated by yourself. That you think that because you are not where you are today, you cannot be there. It's a manipulation of your own self or your own self that results to where you end up start to having those mental issues. And therefore, what can strengthen people to reverse them from the path of mental health is to self-believe that even if you are not there today, you can get there by enduring short-term pain today for long-term gain tomorrow. Because at the end of the day, there are no shortcuts to the top of the palm tree. Overful.
Yeah, exactly. And Bintu says, I'm watching from Sierra Leone, West Africa. Great. And Ben says, I like what you're doing, doctor. I'm learning a lot from you. Continue with your great works. Great.
Excellent. Thank you, and thank you for joining in. Yes,
Before
Afu,
we
over.
before we wrap up, I'd like to say that we need to look at this from a holistic perspective, as social media, like you said, affects mental health because people aren't using what I mentioned in the first part, social media literacy. And social media literacy just comes down to seeing, if you see somebody with a brand new Lamborghini and you know them in their everyday life and you and them are working at the same position, both you and them are working at McDonald's, you will have to critically understand that things could be rented. Think their pathway could be different from theirs. They could have assistance from their parent that you don't have. They could, for example, if they're flexing all of this, they could receive financial aid, or they could receive other stuff that you might not currently be getting. So we need to first tap into educating people on social media literacy so that these problems, like the mental health relating and correlating with usage of social media, which a lot of psychologists are studying, this all can be changed through social media literacy. Because the more literate we are on social media, that allows many more people to understand and to thoroughly look at posts that, oh, these people are so successful, but I can do this too if I just work hard. But a lot of people forget that, because, to be honest, a lot of people today forget about social media literacy and just look at what they see on their Instagram timeline.
Absolutely, very important point. And that point, I will build on it as we run up, which is to the point that we need to understand who we are in the first place. And I think this is something I've used every stage that I've had the opportunity to stand on to make it very clear. We are uniquely made. And each and every one of us, regardless of which part of the world and country and tribe or village we come from, we have something to offer. But we are so consumed most of the time to focus on that minute aspect that we do not have and forget what we have. And that 1% of you focusing on is costing you the 99% of what you have. And what you have is you. What you have is your mind to envision that you can be able to do what you are doing today. General Pele is here and he plays music and he mentors young people and he's always jovial. There is Mumbane here, who is not just an entertainer, he's an MC. There are young people here from Sierra Leone, Bend, Bento, etc., who are with us here live today. They took their time to come here and learn. And they will live here having that additionality in their repertoire of knowledge. And that means that they are better off already. But they took their time, they were not paid to come here. They used their data bundles to tune in and listen. What am I trying to say? The point I'm trying to say is that each individual have the ability to enhance his or her skills, but it takes endeavor. And I've used these words many times that your biggest ability is your availability. Avail yourself to learn, avail yourself to know, avail yourself to engage with people whom you think know more than you, because you will always be the beneficiary, because you will learn. And when you learn, you know. When you know, you grow. When you grow, you succeed. There are no shortcuts to the top of the palm tree. And with this, I hand over to you, Afu, so we run up.
Yeah, so excellent points made by Dr. Munang, and I think that we have a popular Afrobeat song, Lonely at the Top by Asake. And in the title of Lonely at the Top, it shows that it is lonely at the top. So if you're not at the top right now, take the stairs, not the elevator. because the elevator can get stuck and the elevator can crash. And once an elevator crashes, you go straight to the bottom. So,
What a way. What a way, Afu. What a
and
wonderful.
another example is life is a matter of choices. So, your choices today will impact the outcome tomorrow. If you choose now to lock in, dial in, work hard, then tomorrow it'll eventually pay off. Tomorrow doesn't have to be the next time you wake up. Tomorrow can be in a week, in a month, in a year, in 4 years when you're done your program. Tomorrow will eventually pay off if you stay strong, work hard, and just remember it's lonely at the top. So once you reach the top, you'll know. Reaching the top also is not subjective. It's subjective because reaching the top for someone could be having enough money to go to the grocery store and buy everything they need without food stamps. Reaching the top for someone else could be buying a BMW. So the top is subjective. And also we have a comment saying, good afternoon, Dr. Mang. I'm watching from the Unity Party headquarters in Monrovia, Liberia.
Well, good afternoon, Bua Akai. Nice to have you here. And then we have General Pele here saying thank you, Mental. Thank you, all of you, for watching. What an exhilarating and inspiring discussion today. And our discussion was on value of gradual growth. And like this African proverb tells us, like a tree, true wisdom grows slowly, branching out in many directions, each leaf a lesson learned, standing tall through life lessons. And I believe you've learned lessons because as we close today's discussion, the chapter of gradual growth, let us reflect from what we've heard on the vibrant journey that each and every one of us have to take. Because through what we know, we've gathered here today that the path to move to the top needs skills, it needs talent. And therefore, it's a profound journey of personal growth and transformation that we must be able to embark, understanding fully well that it's about enduring short-term pain for long-term gain. Like gardeners who patiently nurture their plants, we too must nurture our spirit through the act of retooling our skills, through the act of selflessness, through the act of compassion. And always remember that each act of innovative volunteerism that you take to plant a message, to plant a seed of change in your community, in your village, in your country, and across the entire world, and within your own self, it's important because as we part ways after this discussion, carry this message in your own heart that the greatest gardens are those sown with love, watered with kindness, and harvested with gratitude. So keep cultivating your garden of growth and watch it blossom. And as it blossoms into a legacy of positive impact, you will endure success. Thank you all for joining.
Thanks for watching, guys. Excellent analogy. And just remember, grow your garden so that it can blossom. And it's lonely at the top.
Absolutely. And to everyone, thank you very much and have a great evening or afternoon or morning wherever you are. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.